Hey folks, Paul Carlson here from Safety Solutions Academy. I'm out here at the range today doing what I do, and that's living the armory life. Today we are taking a look at the Springfield XDM Elite OSP, but maybe even more importantly, we're taking a look at this Trijicon SRO and what to do if you have some kind of a dot failure. What do you say we dive into it? So I've been saying for quite some time now, in fact, close to a decade, that red dot sights on pistol slides are the future. And I'm probably wrong about that now. They're not the future. They're here right now, today, and they're pretty much ready to rock and roll. Sights have come a really long ways since I started tinkering around with them in the late 90s. And one of the most important facets is the durability. Now, it's certainly possible for anything to fail, but in today's day and age, with quality dots like Trijicon SRO or the RMR, the likelihood of failure probably rests more on user-induced failure than it does the dot itself. Nonetheless, just like if your iron sights were to fail, you need to have a backup plan. And that's what we're going to talk about today. What to do if you draw your pistol, need to make a shot, and for some reason, the optic is down. So I think we ought to start out by talking about what kind of failures you might experience if you're running a red dot sight. Certainly the dot itself could fail, it could break, but that's pretty unlikely in 2020 and beyond. More likely is the fact that you might make some kind of an error that could cause the dot to fail. Maybe you forgot to change out the battery. Maybe you actually forgot to turn the sight on. Or maybe, for some reason, the optic is obscured in a way that you can't see the dot or see through the optic. Now, of course, if it's just a matter of a dead battery, you've got these backup iron sights that you can use to aim the gun successfully. If the front of the objective is covered by debris, simply keep both eyes open, look through the glass just like you normally would, and you will see both the target and the dot and be able to get your hits no problem. But if the emitter is covered or the back of the objective is obscured, that's when techniques like using the sides of the slides and using the guillotine can help you to aim your red dot pistol when you need to make that shot. When it comes to duty use, which Trijicon says the SRO isn't designed for, or concealed carry, we must have a backup plan to make sure our gun is going to keep running even if there's some kind of an issue. Let's acknowledge the fact that red dot sights are outstanding for making precise shots quickly at distance. They allow you to have a target focus, meaning that the aiming point, the red dot, and the target are on the same plane, so there's no need to shift your focus back and forth like you would with iron sights. But when that sight goes down, making that long shot isn't going to be as easy. In fact, making the long shot might not be possible at all. But let's also acknowledge that that long shot is, well, a long shot. From a percentage standpoint, you're much more likely going to need to engage a target up close than a target at distance. And the red dot optic without the dot is probably enough to help you to do that. There's a couple of different ways that we can handle this. Now, the first thing I want you to understand about your red dot optic is that you could aim this just the way that you might aim your gun if your iron sights were to fail. If a front sight or rear sight were to come loose or to fall off the gun and you need to make a shot, well, you still need to make a shot. What you would do in that case is simply place the gun between your eyes and the target, and then use the sides of the slide, the corners especially, to line up that target. You're not going to want to see slide tipping to either way or the top of the slide, and you're probably going to get the hits you need to get. Let's take a look at it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn my dot off. All right, I've got no dot, but we're gonna put some rounds on the target anyways. I'm simply gonna drive the gun out into my line of sight. I'm gonna make sure that I don't see any sides of the slide. I'm gonna look back and forth. Don't see the top or the bottom. Here at 7 yards, every single shot, high center chest. Not bad. So we can use just the slide of the gun itself to aim to get those high center chest shots here at 7 yards. There's another technique for aiming when you have a red dot that's failed for some reason, and that's called shooting the guillotine. Now, of course, you know a guillotine is what an executioner uses to lop off the head of an offender. We're simply going to take the top of the SRO and we're going to put it on the neckline of the target. We still need to make sure we're lined up from side to side and top to bottom. We may not even need to reference the slides. We're just going to use the housing of the SRO itself. And at 7 yards, we're going to be able to get shots on the high center chest, no problem. Let's take a look at it. There they are, 5 rounds, all of them high center chest. One of them drifted a little bit out to the edge. I've got a steel target that's sitting out at about, I don't know, it looks like 12 yards. Let's put the guillotine on it. All it took was a little bit of an adjustment after that second miss, and I was right back on target. Let's run it some more. Seems like it's a pretty usable technique. Now, of course, when we're depending on gear for concealed carry duty or even an important competition, we want to make sure that it's reliable gear. But selecting reliable gear doesn't mean that we might not make a mistake, like simply forgetting to replace a battery or turn a dot on. When that is the case, you need to have some techniques to be able to back yourself up when you have to make that important shot. You can easily aim the gun with the slide itself, or you can lop the head off of that target using the guillotine technique. If you're running a red dot or just running plain old iron sights, you need to prepare for that potential failure. The way to do that is to get out to the range, turn off that dot, and practice these techniques. Use the slide for aiming, or with that red dot, use the guillotine. Now folks, you know what I think is the most important thing for you to do. Get out to the range and get some practice on these skills and everything else you need to be training. I will catch you out at the range next time, living the armory life, and I hope you're going to be bringing your dot gun with you.